Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. This card features a gorgeous stamp set by Studio Katia Floral Wreath. I love stamping, embossing, and coloring on vellum. Even though I chose bolder colors for the flowers, the vellum still brings a softness to the card that I absolutely adore. This stamp was inked up well with Versamark ink. It's hard to see, but I'm stamping on vellum paper. I like to use a pressure tool to ensure I get a good impression. Image is coated with gold embossing powder, and I knock off a couple of stray bits with a soft watercolor brush. I do a couple of things to make sure that the vellum is not overheated and possibly scorched. First, I make sure that my heat tool has come to its maximum temperature. Then as I apply the heat, I'm constantly moving it around. Vellum paper colors very nicely with alcohol markers. I'm going to be using Copics, but any alcohol marker will work well. I have flipped my image around so that I'm applying the color to the back of the panel. Firstly, it's easier because I don't have to worry about getting the alcohol ink on any of the embossed lines. But secondly, it will have a smoother appearance. Because I'm using just one color of ink on each of the flowers and the leaves, the coloring goes very quickly. The first set of flowers that I'm coloring, I'm using RV66. Although the flowers are being colored randomly, I do make sure that this pretty fuchsia color is distributed more or less evenly around the wreath. The rest of the flowers are finished up with a deep purple V09. And as I said earlier, this coloring really does go so quickly. I'm a big fan of coloring on vellum paper. I like cards that are quick and easy. No need to worry about highlights and lowlights and all that stuff. You just apply the color. The one thing to note though is that when applying color to the back of vellum paper, it is going to have a more muted appearance. Softer colors aren't going to show very well. Before I started this project, I did try my colors out on a piece of scrap vellum just to see that I was getting enough color showing through. Then I finished up the center of the flowers with my deepest yellow Y13, and honestly, it didn't really show. This wreath was finished up quickly by coloring the leaves with a pretty spring green YG13. This is one of my favorite tones of green to use on vellum. When it's flipped over, it has almost a milky appearance. It's just beautiful. I'm going to be creating a square card, so my vellum paper has been cut down to 4.5 by 4.5 inches. A matted gold frame is created by using 2 square dies from a nesting die set. These dies have rounded corners. The card base measures 5 inches by 5 inches. I'm going to round the corners so that they're consistent with the frame. I'm using a crocodile corner chomper, which gives you a choice of making 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch rounded corners. I'm using the 1/2 inch. Before adhering the vellum panel to the frame, I die cut the center of the wreath out with a circular die. Studio Katia's foam tape is being applied around the back side of the frame. This tape is a 1/4 inch wide and comes in 2 different depths, 1/8 of an inch and 1/16 of an inch. I've chosen the thicker of the two. I want the vellum sitting a little bit above the card base so that light can be diffused through the paper. To use my craft pick to help lift up a corner of the backing paper to remove it from the foam tape. And after it's all off and the adhesive is exposed, then the panel is centered onto the card base, leaving a little bit of a white border. There are lots of sentiments to choose from in this stamp set. I've chosen the Love You, which has been stamped with Versamark ink and white embossed on the same matte gold cardstock that the frame was cut from. The sentiment was cut using the same circular die that was used to cut the center of the wreath. It is adhered directly to the card base so that it is recessed into the panel. This card is finished up with some gorgeous embellishments, satin blanc pearls. 3 pearls have been used to highlight the sentiment, and then a number have been scattered in and amongst the flowers and leaves. And that completes this sweet card featuring Studio Katia's gorgeous floral wreath. If you've never tried coloring on vellum paper, you must give it a go. It makes for a quick and easy card with this beautiful dreamy appearance. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.